Tuesday edition of PFT OT. There was plenty to discuss during the 2 hours that we were on NBCSN today with Peter King and Chris Sims, but I couldn't get to everything that I wanted to get to, in part because we were praising the Raiders whenever we talked about that second half of the Monday night doubleheader to start the season. We really didn't talk much about what went wrong for the Broncos, and it wasn't a good night for Vic Fangio in his debut. He's one of the new head coaches that was kind of quietly being watched as a guy who may be the best of all of them in an age where we're looking for the young Sean McVay clone, the 60-year-old lifetime assistant who finally gets his chance. And they're praising him incessantly in Denver for his leadership and his style and everything that goes along with it. I thought the Broncos would show up and win that game. Von Miller and Bradley Chubb didn't show up at all. No sacks last night by any member of the Denver Broncos. And this is a defense that Vic Fangio, as he implemented it in Chicago last year, had guys running all over the place making plays. And the Broncos still have enough pieces left from their Super Bowl 50 championship team that they should be wreaking more havoc than they did last night. Vic Fangio said after the game, "I'm extremely disappointed, but not discouraged. I think once we see some of the mistakes we made, our plays we didn't make, that we can see that we can be better than we played tonight." And they don't have much time to turn it around because on Sunday, Fangio's old team, the Chicago Bears, is coming to Denver for the Broncos home opener, and Fangio knows that personnel better than anyone who isn't a member of the organization. Will that make a difference, or will we see a repeat of that disappointing performance from the Broncos on Monday night? On Sunday, it was a disappointment for anybody who has Saquon Barkley in their fantasy league that he wasn't used more. 15 touches in a 35-17 loss to the Cowboys. Pat Shurmur, the head coach of the Giants, explained on Monday that there were a couple of reasons for it. They controlled the ball on us, making third downs. We didn't convert, and again, we had one drive. We got down there, we got stopped, and we have to do a better job of when we get down there getting points, and that changes things. You just don't go into the game thinking that Saquon isn't going to touch the ball. That's just how the first half played out. Well, you don't go into it thinking he's not going to touch the ball. You go into the game plan thinking this is our offense. He's going to get the ball. He's going to run the ball. He's going to catch the ball. The offense goes through Saquon Barkley. I don't know why Pat Shurmur is back to resisting that. I feel like early in 2018, they didn't run the offense through Saquon Barkley. They eventually figured out it's our best chance to win games. I don't know what they were trying to do on Sunday, but if they're controlling the clock, you control the clock. You run the ball and throw Saquon Barkley short passes and make it happen that way. He's talented enough to do it. You need to do it. You need to trust him. You need to get him the ball more. And I understand that if you're having more success on third downs, you're going to have the ball longer. The drives are going to be extended. You're going to have more chances to get the guy the ball. But Saquon Barkley is too good to only touch the ball 15 times in a game. And the Giants aren't going to win many games at all if they aren't using Saquon Barkley far more extensively than they did. Last night in New Orleans, there was extra scrutiny of the officials because they were returning to the scene of the NFC Championship game crime. And there was reason to be scrutinizing the officials because late in the first half, the officials erroneously handled a clock situation that resulted in New Orleans having about 15 seconds less than they should have had as they were trying to get in position to get a score before intermission. And the bottom line is this. If you're going to do the 10-second runoff after a replay review, which is by rule what occurs, you either take the 10-second runoff or you use a timeout, you've got to go back to where the clock was at the time the play ended. The clock kept running before they decided to do the replay review. They decided to do the replay review, and then they applied the 10-second runoff. No, that's not how it works, and we've seen that many times. You figure out when the play ended, you go back to that point, and then you apply whatever rules would be relevant in that spot. So the Saints got screwed out of about 15 seconds, which put them in position where they tried a 56-yard field goal, and they missed it. Now, fortunately for the officials, the Saints ended up winning the game with a 58-yarder, but they should have had a chance to score more points at the end of the half. They should have had a chance to get closer to the end zone. That 15 seconds, as Drew Brees said after the game, a lot can happen with that time, and we saw what the Saints did with only 37 seconds last night in the fourth quarter. You give them an extra 15 seconds when they're already in field goal position, maybe they would have had a touchdown going into the halftime break. One last thing for today, and it deals with the Seattle Seahawks team that we really aren't quite sure what their offense is going to be. They've paid Russell Wilson $35 million a year in new money. That creates the presumption that he's going to be throwing the ball a lot more. Well, he only threw it 20 times on Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals. And of all the options available to Russell Wilson, Chris Carson, running back, led the team in targets with 7. And it was amazing because Tyler Lockett wasn't targeted at all until the fourth quarter, and he had 2. Jerron Brown had 0. Rookie DK Metcalf had 6. But, 20 total passes, more than a third of them going to the running back. That's really not $35 million a year passing offense. And you have to wonder whether the Seahawks are going to unleash some more downfield opportunities for guys like Lockett and Brown, and even more for DK Metcalf, or whether this really is going to be part of the plan, where it's the modified old school Seattle run the ball, maybe throw the ball a little bit to the running back. If you're going to do that, you don't need to be paying your quarterback $35 million a year. So they're in kind of a weird spot here. It'll be interesting to see how it played out. But consider this. Pete Carroll mentioned a couple of times yesterday that they were in the hunt for Antonio Brown. And it makes me wonder if one of these other teams out there that maybe has a good receiver and that team slides out of contention by the time the trade deadline rolls around, maybe the Seahawks make a move to add somebody else. They lost Doug Baldwin to retirement, and they really don't have anyone else that just jumps off the page as a spectacular field-stretching option. Now, David Moore's injured. He should be back at some point. He was surprisingly good for them last year. Tyler Lockett can be special at times. But who's that guy that you can count on being the player who commands double coverage everywhere he goes, the guy who opens up the rest of the offense? Maybe they'll be plotting to try to get someone like that from a team that finds itself in a spot where by Halloween they know that they've got no chance at making it to the playoffs, and they're willing to consider moving a guy. Just something to watch, because this Seahawks offense needs to do a little bit more in the passing game. Needs to do a lot more in the passing game to justify the money that has been given to quarterback Russell Wilson. That's it for today's PFT OT. We'll be back again on Wednesday with another PFT OT, another PFT Live, and PFT PM coming later today with Jets safety Jamal Adams. Have a great day.